Power Rangers who live in their bases.
I would like to start off with an honorable mention of the Alien Rangers, who I am convinced are sleeping over in Billy's garage during their time on Earth, partly because of Billy's relationship with Sestro, but also how casually he's just like, you guys chill out here during Along Came a Spider. But Power Rangers in Space is the first season to really break the tradition of teenagers with attitude who go to high school and clearly live with their parents. In this season, they live on the Astro Megaship. We see a lot of scenes in the cockpit, but we know it has a dining area, a food synthesizer, and they all have dorm rooms. I mean, here's a scene where Carlos has a nightmare about that time he hurt Cassie. And here's some footage of Zane pining over Astronema. I think I'm just gonna let this whole scene roll, because once Cassie and Ashley run in, you really get a good view of what their dorm rooms are like. They got a little desk, they got a bunk bed. I don't know why they have bunk beds, because none of them are sharing rooms. In Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, they also have access to the Astro Megaship, but they're not sleeping in the dormitories on board. They live on the Terra Venture space station, which is run by GSA, which stands for the Galactic Space Alliance. The closest thing they have to a command center is the main deck of the Terra Venture, and their dormitories are a part of the GSA military complex on the ship. They have a little kitchenette and 3 bunk beds, and it seems like these are assigned to GSA members, which means that Kai and Kendricks are sharing their dormitories with the other members of the team. Granted, Mike is a member of GSA when he does eventually return, and Leo joins for one day and then immediately quits. The Lightspeed Rescue Rangers live in the Lightspeed Aqua Base, also in shared boy-girl dorm rooms. We get to see the inside of Kelsey and Dana's dorm room really well in the episode Riding the Edge, and it looks like pretty cushy accommodations. Also, I absolutely love this episode because Kelsey is a very queer-coded character, and this is her queer-coded episode, and from the conversation and the actions of the characters, it seems like she already told Dana she has a crush on this girl, because Dana knows what she's talking about when she references Nancy being on the TV. Then when everyone else comes in and tries to interrupt, Dana hushes them and is like, you guys, Kelsey's crush is on the TV, and they all get excited and want to watch too, because she's come out to them and they're her friends and they love and accept her, and no one can ruin this headcanon for me.
That's Nancy! And wish her the best of the girl I told you about, with the puppy!
10,
Wait a sec,
9,
Kelsey's friends on TV.
Just look how excited she is to see Nancy. In Time Force, Wes Cullen sets the team up in a clock tower, which they agree is a good base of operations because it has a high vantage point to observe any mutant activity. Circuit sets it up as their main base of operations. They've also been shown to watch television, cook, eat meals. They sleep in there. I love the color-coded pajamas for Katie and Jen in this shot. There are also multiple episodes where they set cots up in what is essentially the middle of their living room and turn their house into an infirmary. The 6th Ranger of the Time Force team, Eric Myers, does not live in the clock tower. He lives in what appears to be a suburban area outside of town. He has 2 pet birds and he's friends with the neighbor's kid. Weird.
Can I talk to your birds?
Sure.
In Power Rangers Wild Force, the Rangers live on the Animerium with Princess Shayla and the Wild Zords. They are shown sleeping there several times on these terribly uncomfortable looking little cots. Quick side note though, I do love that Danny has a stuffed animal. He is such a stereotype breaking character. He's the Black Ranger, who is usually a tougher ranger. As well as his stature, he's very tall with broad shoulders. But he has a stuffed animal, he's incredibly soft-spoken, and he's into horticultural things. I know that these juxtapositions were probably intended for comedic relief, but having a big masculine character with soft feminine interests goes a long way for breaking down stereotypes. I also think their sleeping arrangement is very interesting if you're analyzing the very mature tones in Wild Force. This really speaks to the fact that they all had to give up their lives in order to be Power Rangers. Max had to give up bowling. Taylor had to give up being a pilot. I'm pretty sure that they think that she's dead. And then they just go to live on the Animerium where they sleep on these uncomfortable little cots. These people really gave up everything in order to save the world. And since I showed you Eric's house, this is Merrick's house. Why do their names rhyme? I don't know. The 6th Ranger on the Wild Force team lives here.
Willie's Roadhouse Special. Now this will take care of those hunger pains. Well, if you need a place to stay, I got a spare room in the back. I could use a guy like you around to help out.
Yeah, sure, sounds good.
Good.
In Ninja Storm, the Wind Ninja Academy is the home of Sensei and Cam Watanabe, and I think a lot of the other students, which makes it all the more confusing why Shane, Tori, and Dustin do not live there. After that base is removed from the face of the planet and they move into the underground backup base, which we see for the entirety of the show, I believe Sensei and Cam still live there. As you can see in this scene, they come out of a side room that the audience usually is not given a view into. I believe that is where Cam is living, and Sensei has his cute little gerbil house right in the middle of the main living area. I would like to give another honorable mention to Dr. O in Power Rangers Dino Thunder because his house is directly above the Dino Lab, since of course he tunneled down under his house in order to build the Dino Lab. But that's not technically living in the command center, he lives above it. In Power Rangers SPD, all cadets and subsequently the Rangers live inside the Delta base in dormitories. And because I like seeing the detail, I'm going to play this entire clip of Sid giving us a tour of her room.
So, this is my room. Well, half of it's mine. I share it with my roommate Z. But this is basically what you get when you come to the academy. A bed, a desk, and of course, a roommate. I know it doesn't seem like much. I was definitely used to a little more spacious surroundings before I got here. But you can totally decorate your room to make it more homey. Naturally, I put as much pink as I could everywhere. Some pink sheets, pink pillows, some pink paint. Well, you get the idea. But no matter how much you do, you'll never be able to redecorate your roommate. Having a roommate at the academy isn't really that bad, though. Being able to accept differences is important. It's just one more challenge that ultimately makes you a better ranger. And it helps you learn that being a Power Ranger is about being part of something bigger than yourself. Bridge!
8, 7, 6, 5.
Why is the computer counting down?
2, 1.
That's it.
Look out!
Toast done.
I have not yet watched Operation Overdrive, but I know that Mac's dad is rich and I feel like they at least show his house. In Jungle Fury, the Rangers live above Jungle Karma Pizza in RJ's apartment.
Look at the size of this place. Wow, this place is great.
Check it out!
It's nice, but it needs a cleaning.
Thanks for volunteering, Theo.
Hey, I didn't.
Mi casa es su casa. This is where you'll be living, training, playing, and working. Everything is yours. Except that chair. My chair. It's mine. It's off limits. Got it?
Got it.
In Power Rangers RPM, the Rangers live in the garage.
So, here we are. Home sweet home.
We call it the garage.
See if you can guess why.
Welcome aboard. No turning back now, is there?
Okay, so, you got Summer's room over there. Our room's right up that way. Do you sleep with that thing?
Hey, what if I slept?
I'm Batman.
Okay, so I haven't watched Samurai or Megaforce, and I've found it's not really worth it to try and make videos about these things because Power Rangers is quite difficult to research. Google is not very forgiving when you don't know exactly what you're looking for. And I just know if I tried to say something about it, someone would say something in the comments about the Shiba household, which they're still going to. They're not going to see this part of the video, and they're going to be like, why didn't you mention the Shiba household? I'd be like, well, just go watch the video again. I'm not going to answer your question. In Power Rangers Dino Charge, most of the Rangers are old enough to own their own homes, but Koda, being from so far in the past, isn't really able to function in modern society, so he has a house carved off to the side from the base. You can see him going into it back there. He has it all decked out, proper caveman style, and the reason that I'm talking over this entire clip instead of letting the audio play is because somehow I ended up screen recording a version that was dubbed in Italian. While I don't think they show him sleeping in the base, Ivan definitely lives there too, because he's 800 years old, and in this scene, he's trying to show her his sword in order to make a withdrawal from the bank, and he nearly gets himself arrested, so there's no way this dude is paying rent. In Power Rangers Ninja Steel, the mentor characters Mick Kinnick and Redbot live in the base, hidden in the school. And I have a theory that Brody does too. They don't mention any of his friends asking him to come live with them, and that house has definitely been foreclosed on, not to mention he's been gone for 10 years and would have been declared legally dead in only 5. Where's the scene where Brody has to go reinstate his social security number? Put simply, he has to be squatting in the school because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. In Power Rangers Beast Morphers, many of the Rangers are shown commuting in and out of the building through the security at the front gate in multiple episodes. However, one of them specifically has to live in the base. Nate Silva has been working at Grid Battle Force since he was a small child, and his parents are frequently out of town for large stints of time. I assume as a minor, he started out living at the base, and then as he grew up, he stayed living there. Because when Commander Shaw tells him that he is on lockdown, she implies he is not to leave the base for any reason, and I assume if he lived elsewhere, she would add the caveat, except for to go home. This would imply, of course, that Steel also lives in the Grid Battle Force headquarters. In Power Rangers Dino Fury, these good boys from RAFCON live in the base under Dino Hinge. In this scene, we see Ion waking up in the base. He then wanders into the main room to encounter a sleepy and equally pajama-clad Zato. It makes sense that they would have to live in the base because they're aliens, so they don't really have anywhere else to go.
Other times Rangers' houses were shown.
So we get to see the inside of Billy's garage quite a lot, but we do actually get a shot of the outside of his house for oh so brief of a moment in the first episode where he introduces the rad bug. I also always really liked that Billy's parents let him have the garage as a workshop. Seems like a cool parent move. In the episode For Whom the Bell Trolls, when Trini brings a collection of her dolls to show and tell day, we get a very brief glimpse of the outside of her house. Pretty nice looking house. And then a big long scene on the inside of her room, which I actually really enjoy because I feel like the prop department had a lot of fun with this one. It is kinda sparse, I mean by my crazy standards, but it's pretty good set dressing, so I'm just gonna let this whole shot play because I like looking at it. But are those dolls back there nailed to her wall? Can I get a zoom in on that? Because that's creepy. In the episode Stop the Hate Master, we get to see the outside of Aisha's house because she has a conversation with her grandma who's coming to visit. That means we also get to see the inside of her living room, which has a lot of nice bright colors. In the crossover episode of In Space, True Blue to the Rescue, we get to see a lot of Justin's house. We get to see this nice long shot of the outside of his house, this little patio bit where he's lamenting the loss of his friends, and I like the set design on the inside of his bedroom. His bedside table, he's got like a football lamp and a history book and a little plane on there. My favorite thing though is his door, the like keep out private property stuff that is so 90s kid. At the beginning of Time Force, Wes lives in this huge mansion with his father, but after a handful of episodes he decides to move into the clock tower with the rest of the team. Trent's always hanging out at this like, what is this? Is this like a gazebo or like a guest house? It's obviously not the main house because look, the main house is all the way over there. It's a freaking mansion. Damn, Anton. Lots of money there. I mean, there's the outside again. They have swans. We also get to see the inside of Anton's office a whole bunch of times. What's with that door? That's like the weirdest door I've ever seen. In the RPM Yellow Ranger Origin episode, they show Summer Lansdowne's childhood house, exterior, and her rather boring bedroom. In the Blue Ranger episode, they show Flynn McAllister's childhood home, as well as the home his father has moved into once they live in Corinth City. These, of course, are not houses they lived in while they were Power Rangers, but I figured it kind of counted. Also, this episode of RPM is my favorite. Flynn is the best. This episode makes me cry every time I watch it, and I definitely cried while I was screen capturing this scene. Love it. Here's the outside of Riley's childhood farmhouse and his mother, who is old enough to be his sister. What other times can you remember where the outside or inside of a Power Ranger's house was shown?